C. O'Neill along with Mike Guerrera. And Mike, here we go. We're back again. Who's going to play New London in the final?
Yeah, this game, New London clearly the favorite in that first game, and we saw Wyndham almost pull a scare on them and almost pull the rug out underneath them. This one is clearly kind of anybody's game. Ledyard is the higher seed. Ledyard is maybe the team with a little bit of the edge just because of the offensive firepower led by Deontay Bruton, who we will talk plenty about. But Waterford has been hot. We saw them on game day earlier this year, and they really did not look good against New London. They have switched some things up. They switched up the starting lineup, which we'll talk about a little later. And they've really been in cruise control, and they know that Friday is at home in their gym. Today was supposed to be in their gym. It's not, so they're going to work to get home for Friday's game against New London and get a little revenge.
Lots to talk about, but let's go to the third member of our team, Keith O'Brien. Keith.
Casey, Mike, two teams coming in here with two different styles of play. Ledyard likes to get at it, run up and down the court, turn the ball over on defense, and create easy scoring opportunities. Waterford, a little more of a conventional offense. They like to shoot the three, but they're not afraid to use the big man in the wings. Mike, you hit the nail on the head. Waterford comes into this game saving their best basketball for down the stretch of this season. Ledyard comes in here with a big win on Saturday over Fitch. You know what, fellas? Should be a great game tonight. We're looking forward to a fantastic final on Friday evening. Fellas?
Thanks, Keith. Lots of storylines to talk about tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about why Waterford has gotten hot. We're going to talk a little bit about what has gone on. Let's be a good time to do that. Why is Waterford so hot? Well, Coach Greg Gwudge in his final season as Waterford coach made a couple of changes to the starting lineup. He inserted Kevin Johnson as the point guard. The diminutive guard brings a lot of fire and feist that he likes. And then he brought Jake Mangual, who was a bench player, into the starting lineup at forward because he felt that he brought a certain toughness. And he put Connor Lewis, the senior headed to the University of Hartford as a baseball scholarship. He brought him into the game, off the bench as a sixth man. So let's talk a little bit about the players that you're going to watch in tonight's ballgame.
We'll start with the Waterford side of things. Landon Peabody, the junior guard, has been scorching hot recently. 29 points a couple games back. He's eclipsed 20 points 8 times in the last 13 games for Waterford, who have won 12 of those 13 where he scored all those points. Waterford's best three-point shooter is Peabody, and he's clearly emerging as the go-to guy in offense. He has really stepped up recently. We saw him struggle a little bit against New London. He is shaking all that off again. Only a junior. See the numbers, 14.5 points, 4 assists, a couple of steals. He's really doing it all, scoring from the inside, scoring from the outside. And as we see Ledyard come out of the locker room, we are going to focus in on Deontay Bruton, the senior guard, perhaps the fastest player in the ECC. He's a lefty. He averages 24 points a game. He can score outside with the jumper, but he can also go in with the dribble. And he is the catalyst for Ledyard's offense. He goes, and so does Ledyard.
Well, you know, Deontay Bruton transferred to Ledyard after his freshman year at New London. After the Colonels win in the quarterfinals, he spoke with the Day's Mike DeMoro about whether or not he made the right choice.
I felt that it would help my game, improve my game, and I knew Coach Troy since I was a little kid because he's best friends with my uncle, and coming here I thought would be one of the best decisions. It was one of the best decisions I made. It made me to a better player.
Oh, unbelievable! Like a godsend. Deontay just knows the game of basketball, and like I've always said, you gotta have at least 3 basketball players, and he's one of those basketball players. Just constantly plays all year round.
Coaches always put a lot of responsibility on me. Even if it's the other my teammates' fault, he'll blame it on me because I'm supposed to be the coach on the court, and I'll take that for responsibility for anything that goes wrong.
I mean, we had to get him to be more aggressive this year. Last year we had Darnay, Dom, Kyrie, we had other scorers, so he kind of distributed the ball a little more. But he's been more assertive this year. And, sometimes it's shot selection because he can pass the ball, So I told him trust his teammates also, and you'll get your points in the offense.
Senior night got very emotional. Senior year flew by fast. My high school career went by fast. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the school. I'm going to miss playing high school basketball. I'm going to miss it.
Thank you for putting MJ Sullivan Hyundai in the top 15 in the country. We've just been notified that we have won the Hyundai President's Award. We rank in the top 15 dealers nationwide for customer satisfaction, and we're the only dealer in Connecticut to win this award. Consider this, a good deal is not price alone, but it's the service you receive during and after the sale, and that's been the driving force of MJ Sullivan's for nearly 30 years. So come to the MJ Sullivan Automotive Corner in New London or at mjsullivanauto.com, and I personally guarantee you'll be satisfied.
We all had one vision, and that was to bring the best cancer care to this area. The number one thing that we wanted was privacy.
We wanted more lighting, enough room for our guests and our caregivers, a common area if you want to socialize.
I still get emotional every time I walk into an infusion room. It's so bright and it's so cheerful.
It's just amazing to know that I had part in designing the building.
Welcome back. You're watching Game Day live on theday.com. You see Landon Peabody, he of the Waterford Lancers. They're going to try to overcome a little bit of an obstacle. They're taking on the Ledyard High School Colonels tonight, live on Game Day here on theday.com. We've talked a little bit about some of the players that to watch. We saw Deonde Bruton, who is going to be a key part of the Ledyard side of things. But on the other side of the ball, Waterford senior Isaiah Jones doesn't always show up on the top of the stat sheet, but he is known around the league for his defense. Coach Greg Glutz often assigns him the task of guarding the opposing team's best player.
People think that in order to be a good basketball player, you have to score a bunch and everything, but I don't think that way. I think defense leads to good offense.
He's athletic, but he's smart. He has a high basketball IQ. He knows, when to go above screens on shooters, when to go below screens on penetrators. A lot of the stuff we talked about, but he kind of learns on his own, and he has a knack for staying with guys and kind of reading the play, and he's sometimes 2 plays ahead of everybody else.
If I have good defense, then I think I've played a good game. If my offense isn't up to par, then I know my defense is well. As long as my defense was good, I'm satisfied with my game.
I've asked him the last couple of years to always guard the other team's best players, and I trust him now. I tell him, if you want to pick him up full court, you want to pick him up half court, however you want to play him, and he's kind of built that trust with me. And so I think some of it's taught, but a lot of it's just instinctual that he has.
So I'll steal the ball, and then they'll have me down court, so I have to pass it off. And I don't have a problem with it either. I'm a very unselfish player. So it's a team game, so I got to do what I got to do to help the team win.
He's getting recognized. He's playing in the Senior All-Star game, which is a very high honor. It's for someone who's averaging around 8 to 10 points a game. For him to be selected in that game just speaks to the respect that coaches have for his defensive presence.
The New London High School team wants to know who they're going to play in the finals. Is it going to be Ledyard or Waterford? And Isaiah Jones might get the task of guarding Deonde Bruton tonight. We will find out when we come back. You're watching the MJ Sullivan pregame show live on Game Day on theday.com.
High school. We are athletes and fans. We are musicians. We are home to an agri-science and technology center. We offer opportunities to earn college credit. We have 3 student publications and nearly 4 dozen extracurricular clubs. We're inclusive. We're compassionate. We're committed to excellence. We are 12 towns, 4 grades, 1 identity.
The following is a presentation of The Day.
Ledyard, the most wins in the ECC in the last 4 years. Waterford, on a historic run with a beloved outgoing head coach. Ledyard, scary quick and thirsty for its first ECC tournament championship.
Bruton, acrobatic tripping.
Waterford, in front of its clever student section, thirsty for its first ECC tournament championship. Both state semifinalists last year, both with eyes on state titles. 2 heavyweights, 1 winner, with a spot in the league championship game on the line. It's Ledyard. Waterford, the ECC semifinals tonight on Game Day on theday.com. Welcome back. back here watching Game Day live from Fitch High School. Casey O'Neill along with Mike Guerrera. Earlier tonight, the New London High School Whalers advanced to the finals. Tonight, let's find out in the second game whether it's going to be Ledyard or Waterford. The keys to the game tonight. First, for Waterford, they got to try to control Bruton. He is the man. The more he scores, the more Ledyard wins. The more they struggle. Handle the pressure. Ledyard's going to press. How can Waterford handle it with their ball handlers? Finally, Lewis and McCormick, Waterford's posts, need to capitalize on Ledyard's inability to rebound consistently. Ledyard's not big. Can Waterford exploit their size matchup? For Ledyard, don't think, just play. Don't think, you can only hurt the ball club. Crash Davis said that. Ledyard has never won this tournament. Don't let negative thoughts creep in. Give it to Bruton and get out of the way. He scored 37 in their first round win over St. Bernard's. He can score. Supporting cast, is it Mario Graham tonight? Is it Leo Clinton? Who's it going to be that gets some shots and baskets to help out Bruton? That's what we're going to find out tonight. Let's talk now about the starting lineups.
Casey, starting for Waterford, junior guard Kevin Johnson, inserted into the lineup earlier this year, has paid dividends. Landon Peabody, the junior guard, Isaiah Jones, the senior guard, and then Jake Manguel, kind of a hybrid guard forward. He's a senior, as well as senior forward Kyle McCormick, the big man in the middle. For Ledyard, Mario Graham. He is a trio of senior guards in the backcourt with Deontay Bruton and Andrew Guard. In the front court is a couple of seniors as well, Leo Clinton and Philip Thomas.
So senior-dominated teams here. No surprise, we saw that in the other semifinal as well. The teams that have the senior-dominated teams doing well so far in the tournament. We're excited tonight. This is going to be a good one, we think. The winner will advance to play New London High School in Friday night's final, which we will broadcast live on theday.com, starting at 7:30. We are just seconds away as the Ledyard High School basketball team gets themselves fired up. We are moments away from tip-off. We have a very special national anthem to be brought to you momentarily, and then we will get ready to basketball.
Singing the national anthem is Sarah Bassetto. She's from Waterford, the sister of freshman guard Mike Bassetto. Her father owns Philomeni's, another Mike Bassetto as well. So now we pause, and Sarah will sing the anthem.
Sarah Bassetto, a nice job with your national anthem. This game is sponsored by Charter Oak Federal Credit Union. Charter Oak is offering 35 $2,000 college scholarships. 35 of them, one at every high school in New London and Windham counties. Now get details at any Charter Oak branch or online at charteroak.org. That's charteroak.org. The New London High School boys wanting to know who they're going to play Friday night. The Waterford High School cheerleaders ready to root on Lancer Nation. The underdog Lancers playing really good. Now we all know that Coach Greg Gwuds, one of the best coaches in Connecticut, has taken an administrative position out of conference. He will be leaving. This is his final season, so this is possibly the final ECC basketball game for Coach Greg Gwuds here at Waterford. And don't think the Waterford kids will not use that emotion in tonight's game.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. There's not much more to say. Let's tip it off and let's get ready. 32 minutes and maybe more of fun ECC semifinal basketball.
Philip Thomas, Kyle McCormick to tip. Thomas wins the tip, and there he is, Deontay Bruton. He'll handle it, and he is being guarded by Isaiah Jones.
That matchup is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Bruton, a lot of swag, a lot of skill. Jones, though, can defend.
Great look from Mario Graham, and that jumps Ledyard with a quick 2-0 lead, and they are going to pressure. Waterford trying to break pressure. Johnson's going to have his hands full tonight running the point for Waterford. Waterford in the classic Lancer blue. Johnson gets a screen. Graham overplayed. And a three. Landon Peabody puts Waterford on top 3-2. The other way, Bruton loses the basketball. McCormick comes out with it. Jones too strong for Peabody. Turnover back to Ledyard. 3-2.
And we're already seeing the defensive presence of Isaiah Jones with the strip on one end. We saw the offensive skill of Peabody on the other. And Jones there on the fast break was saying, go, cut to the basket, cut to the basket. He threw it where the player was supposed to be and where he thought the player was going and not where the player stayed.
There's the size of Clinton as he gets the rebound. Inside it goes to Thomas. One change in the Ledyard starting lineup. Isaiah McNair is in the starting lineup rather than Andrew Bird. And Rashawn Young is in the ball game. That's who got that rebound instead of Leo Clinton. 4-3, Ledyard. Johnson loses the ball to Young, and we're going to get a jump ball on the floor. So 2 changes to the Ledyard starting lineup. Guard Isaiah McNair, a sophomore, instead of senior Andrew Bird, and senior Rashawn Young instead of senior Leo Clinton in the forward position. We saw Young already with his size take advantage of McCormick, who is very thin and lean. Peabody drives, fall-away jumper is good. Landon Peabody really been feeling it. He was the leading scorer in their opening round win. He's got all 5 of Waterford's points.
That was a pretty shot right there, just a fadeaway over the defender. Really nice play by Peabody, and we're already seeing, we saw in the first game, New London kind of set the tempo of that game and Wyndham had to catch up. This game, these 2 teams, as you can see, are a lot more evenly matched, so we're going to see, I think, a lot of good back and forth, and I think it's going to be hard to play defense. A lot of offensive weapons on both sides. Expect a high-scoring affair.
We already see, we wonder how long Connor Lewis is going to stay on the bench for Waterford. We already see in the early going the Waterford guards, the Ledyard guards having easy penetration, and Young and Thomas have had a lot of success around the basket. Waterford is not with a big lineup right now, and Ledyard's one deficiency this year has been its size. So we'll see if Waterford does end up putting in Lewis. Instead, both foul shots by Young are good, and Ledyard back on top 6-5. Unlike the New London game, which saw New London race out to a lead and never relinquish it, we've seen a couple of early lead changes here already.
Yeah, and we talked about size, Casey. It'll be interesting. What Ledyard does have, what they don't have on the inside with size, as we see a steal there from Young, who got the start over Clinton, and a foul underneath. But just to finish the thought, what Ledyard doesn't have necessarily on the inside with size, they have a lot of long guards. Their guards are lengthy, especially against some smaller guards. Waterford has Peabody, Jones, and Johnson. They're smaller guards, so the length of Ledyard could cause some problems on the perimeter, so they could make up for some of those size deficiencies working out, outside in almost.
Yes, Isaiah McNair, Mario Graham, and Deontay Bruton, all very long at about 5'9" each, 5'10" with some reach. Waterford struggling here with pressure in the early going. Johnson's trapped, tries to find Mangual, and instead it's intercepted by Bruton, and Mangual falls on him and fouls him, and you can see Ledyard's pressure is causing fits right now for Waterford.
Yeah, and you never want to dribble out of a trap, or a pressure like that. He dribbled right to the corner, and you're just kind of setting yourself up for disaster. Good job by Bruton to jump in the pass, and Waterford's going to have to figure out quickly how to break it, or Ledyard is just going to press him to death early on.
Graham takes Peabody off the dribble, tries to find Young, ball loose on the floor. Graham has it, and we got another tie-up. And we're going to have another jump ball, this time possession arrow Waterford. But you're seeing already that Waterford is really struggling with Ledyard's quickness on both sides of things, struggling to break pressure, but also defensively struggling to keep Ledyard's guards from penetrating. A lot of easy baskets so far for Ledyard. Turnover, Johnson comes out with it, ahead to Jones, who wisely, what a veteran play that was, hesitated with the dribble and allowed Ledyard's Rashawn Young to come right over the top of him and draw the foul. Not really smart headsy play that time by Isaiah Jones.
Yeah, Young just kind of bowled him over. Good play by Jones. Good job on the inbounds pass by Waterford as well to kind of strip it, get Johnson getting his hands in there and getting the steal.
Peabody with a 3, short. Rebound comes to McNair, and up ahead it is Mario Graham. Graham takes Peabody off the dribble, but McCormick got in the way. Ball loose, and Peabody comes out with it for Waterford. They're going to press to McCormick. Back out to Mangual for 3. No good. Strong rebound by Philip Thomas, and he's fouled by Isaiah Jones. And that's not a good foul by Jones because he's got the task of guarding Bruton on the other side. He can't afford cheap fouls like that, especially on a rebound to a big man.
Yeah, you're the entire length of the court away from the basket. Nothing is to be gained by giving a foul there. Yeah, I agree, and that's why Jones is going to come out quickly, and Coach Quads is kind of putting his hands in the air like, hey, you commit a foul early like that, we take you out of the game and we'll put someone else in.
And that someone is Connor Lewis, the senior, going to University of Hartford as a baseball pitcher, and he immediately steps in and helps deflect the pass. Johnson comes out of it for Waterford, trying to avoid a trap. He finds Mangual, who finds McCormick. A little strong, but there's Lewis with the rebound and the putback. Connor Lewis off the bench, making his presence felt right away, tying this one up at 7.
This is a tough lineup right now for Ledyard to defend. Lewis, McCormick, and Mangual all with a lot of size down low.
Nice rebound and putback by the big body of Rashawn Young. And, you know, we didn't see a lot of him in the New London game. That's going to be interesting because that's one of the things they lacked in the New London game. He's a big body and a presence. McCormick, nice job by Graham, but Peabody comes away with it. Peabody pulls up and no good. Another strong rebound and putback, no good this time by McCormick. The ball's out of bounds and it will be a foul call. Let's send it down to Keith O'Brien. Keith, what do you got?
You know, Casey, Mike, it's going to be Ledyard's speed versus Waterford's physicality early going. And it could be whoever imposes which will stamp their seal in this game. But, you know, right now, Waterford's playing pretty tough, and Ledyard's just fast, fellas, fast.
And McCormick at the line for a couple. And to build off of Keith's point, because you're right, Keith, Waterford definitely is physical, and Ledyard is so fast, but it's almost too fast because you're going to see Ledyard on the offensive end. They love to go 1-in-1, and that's only good for so long. If Waterford plays defense correctly, Coach Greg Woods has a state title. He knows how to defend teams. He knows how to draw up defensive pressure. Ledyard is going to have to go away from that one-on-one style of play and kind of get a little more into the flow of the offense.
Back again, tied at 9. Bruton, now he's guarded by Johnson. Now that Jones is out of the game, he immediately takes a shot. Fall away, no good, and a strong rebound by McCormick. That's another way that you can break pressure is by rebounding the basketball. Nice look that time from Johnson off the hands of Lewis. Turnover, Ledyard will get the ball. You know, if you rebound, you can break pressure. When you allow shots to get made, it sets up pressure. So one way Waterford can keep Ledyard from pressing is to rebound the basketball.
Yeah, and they have the bodies in there right now to be strong on the defensive boards. It's a tough task for Philip Thomas and Rashawn Young to try to defend, and there's a little check foul by Kevin Johnson. Bruton is way too fast for Johnson right now. Jones is probably the only real capable defender of one-on-one defending him. That doesn't necessarily mean Bruton is going to blow by Johnson every time, but he's going to have to kind of give a little step. And that's a couple fouls now on Kevin Johnson. And so it'll be interesting to see how that affects the offense.
Johnson almost with a steal. Instead, Bruton to the lane finds Thomas cutting to the basket. Nice look that time, Deontay Bruton. He's not scoring right now, but he's getting everybody involved in the offense, and Ledyard takes its lead 11-9.
And again, that's like an offense, though. A dribble, a pass, another pass, and that's what they have to do. The one-on-one game is going to get them into trouble.
Ledyard trying to jump everything. Instead, it gets inside to McCormick, and he ties the game at 11, but it's clear that when Mangual touches the ball, Ledyard's going to jump him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the worst ball handler on the floor. That's not to say he can't handle the ball, but that's not his forte, and Ledyard wants to take advantage of their defensive pressure as, again, a fast-paced quarter here. Another basket by Ledyard.
Mario Graham that time. Johnson's three-pointer was blocked by Bruton. He comes out of the pack with it. Bruton behind the back finds Oh, what a great look. Finds Young. Rashawn Young under the basket. Ledyard now with its biggest lead, 15-11, 4 points.
And you're watching Bruton take it up the court, and you think, oh, he's going to lose it. He's going to lose it. He's dribbling into traffic, and then there's a basket. I mean, that's how good this kid is.
Peabody with the basketball, guarded by Graham. Takes Graham to the basket. Nice look to Connor Lewis. And he's strong and fouled. Great job, Landon Peabody, finding Connor Lewis for the basket and the foul, and Waterford cuts it to a 2-point deficit and a chance to close even further. We're going to see Mike Giannakis come into the basketball game, replacing Johnson, and that's going to put the ball handling duties into the hands of Peabody.
What you're going to see from Giannakis, a little more size on the outside, a little more defensive presence. Kevin Johnson had 2 fouls, so you had to take him out. Giannakis also kind of a lethal shooter, so keep an eye on him from beyond the arc.
Bruton recognized it right away, took the shot, no good, but the rebound inside by McNair, and he's going to go to the line. We're going to see who that foul is on. That foul is being called on McCormick, and that's going to be his second. And very quickly, we're going to see a substitute coming into the game. That's only his first, but we're still going to see a substitute. It's going to put McNair at the line. He'll shoot 2. Griffin Beanie's about to come into the ball game for Waterford, and he will replace McCormick, not wanting to get him any more foul trouble. But Waterford is capable of bringing some big bodies into this thing. Beanie's a big body as well.
Yeah, Beanie, they have Mangual, they have Lewis, they have McCormick, and that's 4 big guys that can contend. They could go a little bigger if they want to bring some less experience off the bench. Probably won't see that, but it definitely kind of gives them a nice rotation of forwards where they should dominate the boards.
This team right now on the floor for Waterford cannot break this pressure. They are going to struggle. They just turned it over there, and Giannakis is struggling, but he makes a nice pass to Lewis. 2-on-1. Lewis to Beanie. That's a nice way to break pressure. Cutting it back to 2, 18-16.
Ledyard is really kind of overhyping the pressure. They've got 3 or 4 guys on the Waterford half of the court, so once you get past half court, there's a lot of hardwood open, and that's what Waterford did there, expose the back end of that pressure.
Yeah, Ledyard really selling out on its pressures like a blitz in football, sending everybody, nobody back if you can break the pressure. That time, Thomas got inside, and he was fouled. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. Philip Thomas with a chance to extend the 2-point lead for Ledyard. First one is good.
You better think we're going to see some points in this one. Already 19-16, still 2 minutes to play in the first quarter of action. So if you were in for a nice night drinking a cup of coffee while watching us on game day, you better have your heart medication on hand.
Better hope it was decaf, because we're gonna have all the energy you need right here. Ticky-tack foul on the pressure for Ledyard. A little reach check. It was on Isaiah McNair, and that's already going to put Waterford into the 1-and-1, but the officials evidently don't see that. So
it'll be on the next possession.
3 men that time trapping Peabody, and he could not break it. But he comes away with a rebound, and we're going to get a cheap foul. And this one will put Waterford into the 1-and-1. Yeah, glad him that the foul's reversed here. It's actually Ledyard that's got the most fouls. That foul was also, though, on Isaiah McNair, and he is going to come out of the ball game, and we're going to see Andrew Bird into the ball game for the first time. Bird, normally a starter, into the ball game tonight. Lewis to Giannakis. Quick shot over to Beanie, Mangual rather, and back up top to Giannakis. Being guarded by Bruton, looking for a screen from Beanie. He gets it. Giannakis goes baseline. All the way out it goes to Peabody. With Graham on him, Peabody straightaway 3, strong, no good. Nice rebound by Young. Out to Bruton, they're looking to run. Ledyard's pushing. Bruton stutter step, but his pocket's picked by Mangual. Mangual's gonna lead the break. Over it goes to Giannakis, and Giannakis will pull it out for Waterford. You don't see that a lot.
No. Mangual saw a lot of open space and just decided to take it. Lewis getting his own rebound. Coach Cornish not going to be happy with that. You always box out the shooter. Lewis got his own rebound, and now we'll go to the we'll have an inbounds. I was going to say not a shooting foul there. But the fouls are starting to pile up. Ledyard has 16 fouls. Waterford was 7, so one more foul. Both teams will be in the 1-and-1.
Yeah, they're each going to spend the majority of the second quarter in the bonus.
Yeah.
Peabody Goes left off of Graham, swinging it around to Mangual to Giannakis. Giannakis, they're running a weave. Now Peabody has it. Ledyard again looking to pressure and trap every chance they get.
Add a lane, and you're seeing a little bit of a 2-3 right now. Kind of with the floating guard of Bruton, but kind of a 2-3 zone. Another nice offensive rebound by Waterford.
Little 12-footer, no good by Connor Lewis. Waterford wearing down a little bit. Ledyard running the other way. There's Thomas. Strong layup is good over Lewis. And a 6-point lead, the biggest for Ledyard. 25 seconds remaining. Giannakis with the basketball for Waterford. Peabody now. See if Waterford tries to take the last shot here. Make sure they don't go in the second quarter down more than 6. Stutter step for Peabody. Out to Giannakis, and he travels. 10 seconds remaining here in the first period. Ledyard with its biggest lead, 22-16, and the basketball.
Yeah, what happened there is Giannakis, the ball kind of slipped off his fingers, and he started to move before he kind of had full possession, but couldn't get the dribble down and was taking steps, and he had the ball in his hand, so traveled there. Tough break for Waterford.
Leo Clinton into the ball game, replacing Rashad Young. Bruton, stutter step, three-pointer up, no good. And that'll be the end of the first quarter. What an exciting first quarter. 22 points for Ledyard, 16 points for Waterford. We are getting ready for a barn burner here. We have lots more to cover as we bring you second quarter action live on Game Day. So come on back on Game Day on theday.com.
Where I live shouldn't determine how I am treated for cancer.
At L&M, we agree.
So we created a patient-focused cancer center
in affiliation with Dana-Farber Community Cancer Care.
Right here in Waterford.
Our dedicated doctors provide innovative cancer treatment.
Access to clinical trials and genetic counseling.
Gives me hope.
Hope. Hope.
Now, exceptional cancer care
is right here, close to home.
We're back live on Game Day on theday.com.
Can you do that again?
At Fitch High School.
Is that the Iggy Shuffle you were doing?
I came in a couple seconds late because I was rocking out to the music. I was doing the patented O'Neill shimmy shoulder shake.
Oh, that's what it was.
It was the shimmy shoulder shake. Anybody out in 4 counties know all about the O'Neill shimmy shoulder shake? Speaking of shimmying and shaking, the Ledyard High School basketball team has done just that, out to a 6-point lead with some silky guard play. Waterford's going to try to contend with the pressure. Let's set your lineups. Giannakis, Peabody, Mangual, Lewis, and McCormick on the floor for Waterford. Bird, Graham, Thomas, Bruton, and Clinton for Ledyard.
Waterford starts with it here in the quarter. Leading scorers after 8 minutes of play. Lewis and Peabody 5 each for Waterford, and Peabody now leads with 7, adding a couple points there. Thomas has 9 for Ledyard. And this game continues to be back and forth. A nice dish down low. That was Graham to Thomas for 2, and the lead back to 6. Giannakis playing as the number 1 right now. Not as good a ball handler as Kevin Johnson, Jones, or Peabody for that matter, as he almost lost it out of bounds, but it'll stay with Waterford as the Colonels punched it away. And now we have the freshman, who we talked about briefly, Michael Bassetto, in the game as a guard for Waterford. And he's got some pretty good handles, so I think Coach Blood's looking to get a little better ball control into the game.
Yep, Bassetto can handle. Now he's got to make good decisions.
A good look from Peabody, but he found the wrong end of the net. A good drive by Bassetto, finding Peabody on the wing, just nothing there. And Peabody shaking it off. And Ledyard with Bruton back the other way, who's been quiet, and that's got to scare you a little bit if you're Coach Bloods.
Quiet 6-point lead here for the Colonels as well.
Yeah. Clinton down low, great ball movement from Thomas to Clinton, and that's what we're talking about, Casey. When this team doesn't play one-on-one, they're so lethal because they have so many weapons. As we see Lewis just kind of rolling his way to the basket and getting 2 back. And here comes Ledyard back the other way. Graham, a long 3 is no good. Ball off the foot of a Colonel. Thomas down in the corner, and you see the ref pointing Waterford ball. So now the press.
Really good what I've seen so far from Bassetto. Let's see how he does breaking the press. He's got great vision. You see the pass there.
Great pass to Peabody, who pushes towards the hoop, almost tipped away by the ever-active hands. McCormick back in. Bassetto tries the three, back iron, no, off the top of the backboard and out, but he can shoot, he can make it. That's not abnormal, and gave it a whirl, no good, and it'll be back to Waterford.
Yeah, I think Bassetto's got to concentrate right now on ball handling and finding open. He's got some real good visions, already made a couple of really good passes, reminiscent of his father, who was also a small point guard with great vision. His father likes to think he could shoot, but he really couldn't.
Bruton no-look pass down low, blocked by McCormick and Lewis. It was Graham trying to cut to the hoop. McCormick, the button hook pass there, going up for it. It was kind of the fade route for McCormick, and then the ball tapped out of bounds. It'll stay with the Colonels.
Again, right now, Waterford needs to get a stop and a score because this 6-point lead is sort of tentative at best, and it looked like Ledyard was going to go up 8 a couple of different times now, so Waterford needs to stop.
Bruton just eyeing, looking, passing, point. Oh, no, excuse me. It was halfway down, came back out. Clinton tied up with, that's Mangual there. It'll stay with Ledyard on the jump ball.
This is definitely a crisper Ledyard team than we saw earlier this year in that game against New London, where they look to do a little bit more one-on-one. There's a lot of good ball movement, a lot of aggressive play by Graham and McNair. Bruton not trying to score as much as he is looking to get the ball inside, and the bigs are much more active than what we saw against the Whalers.
And on cue is Bruton, the left-handed three, but again, that wasn't a shot he created. He was open, his teammates found him, and it's a 9-point lead now. Peabody tries to take it himself. How about that? Nice shot. Back iron and down, and he gets a couple back for Waterford. Quickly the other way, Ledyard. Clinton had it on the rebound, knocked away. We have a foul on Graham, and it'll be free throws for Waterford as Peabody will go to the line for 1-1. Before we get to that, let's check with Keith O'Brien. Keith?
Now, Casey, you hit the nail on the head. Ledyard is playing very unselfish basketball right now. A lot of passes on the offensive end. It's not just Bruton carrying the load offensively. A lot of guys in the scoring column. Everybody involved early going for Ledyard.
And we talked about Bruton, and he got 3, and he could get 3 more, and then a bunch after that. So he's a guy they'll have to try to contain. Peabody front end of the 1-1, back iron no good, and almost got a rebound. He almost poked it away from Isaiah Campbell, who is now into the game. But no, and here comes Ledyard. Bruton, same spot, same result, and it's a 10-point lead, double digits now, biggest lead for Ledyard tonight.
Yeah, right now it looks like Ledyard's really clicking on all cylinders. Really came out with a lot of energy tonight, playing very, very unselfish basketball, as Keith said. Biggest lead of the game.
McCormick, baseline jumper, no. Bruton handles, pushes, almost good defense, helped by Bassetto, but Bruton just wrestles it back, goes to the hole, out of control, nothing, and Bassetto looking to push. He has McCormick running. McCormick all the way to the lane, and it'll be a charge on McCormick. He had another guy trailing with him, but he's going to get called for the charge. A great defensive stand, and that's 2 fouls on McCormick, and we have a timeout called by Coach Greg Wood, so we can all catch our breath for a quick second here.
Yeah, I can't say enough. I think Waterford's playing decent basketball. They're being very, very physical, particularly on the defensive end, rebounding the basketball. They've played a long time without Isaiah Jones. And you see the sign there, in Guads we trust. They do, and he is in the huddle right now trying to diagram how to stop Deontay Bruton, who is right in the middle of being hot, having scored back-to-back threes. But, I really like what I'm seeing from Ledyard right now. The guards are all playing aggressively. The bigs are all rotating to the basket. This is a much more confident Ledyard team than what we saw earlier this year in that great game at home against New London.
Yeah, they seem like a much more skilled basketball team as opposed to just using their athletic ability and natural talent to win games. Again, resetting the seasons. Waterford 17-4, Ledyard 18-3. That includes their wins in the quarterfinals, I should say, this past Saturday. Waterford beat Fitch in that one, 74-65. Ledyard scored the most points of that round, 84-59 over St. Bernard's. Bruton had 37 in that one. So if you're wondering, he can score. Yes, he can.
And Waterford basically just couldn't beat Ledyard in New London. If they didn't play Ledyard in New London, their only loss, if I believe, was that really bad game against Old Lyme that we saw. That was who they got beat by New London and Ledyard. So, they haven't gotten beaten by anybody else, but they can't seem to get over that mountaintop.
Here's Jones quickly back into the game and quickly pushing it up court. Peabody no look to McCormick, and that's how you run the floor. McCormick no charge that time, and the lead back to 8 for Ledyard. Off to Campbell between him and Bruton. A long three. Nope, short. McCormick, a foul on the floor, and it's going to be a foul on McCormick. That's number 3 for the big center. So he kind of pushed off on the rebound, and that's a 1-and-1 situation for Ledyard, and it's a problem for Waterford.
Yeah, for 2 reasons. One, the guy that they're putting at the line is Andrew Bird, who's not a big, he's a guard, and so McCormick probably didn't need to do that. But second, McCormick has been prone to some foul trouble, and now he's going to be out of the game for the remainder of the half, and Mangual's going to have to come back in for him.
And the nice thing about McCormick, he's got the height to really run the floor and really kind of get the arms high and give a nice target to pass to. And now Lewis has some size, not the height of McCormick, but Mangual obviously a little bit shorter. Johnson tries to dribble out of the double team, the trap in the corner, and it was about 60-40 whether it was a foul or it was a steal, and the 60 was in his favor, so he'll go to the line for the 1-and-1.
Yeah, and even though the result is good, we're not Machiavellian here. We don't believe the ends justify the means. So that was a bad decision by Johnson, and that's a couple times we've seen him try to dribble out of pressure. Waterford's success has come when they passed out of pressure, which is how everybody's success comes against pressure.
Yeah. It's a long written solution to the backcourt presses. Johnson misses the front end of the 1-and-1, and Ledyard will look to extend. Bruton's quietly piling up the points. Piling, maybe not the best word, but he's got a couple threes in recent minutes. He's just kind of hanging out on the wing right now. Fakes the 3, now drives, floater no good, rebound bounced around. Mangual had it, lost it off his hands, and it'll stay with Ledyard. So good anticipation by Ledyard, seeing where the ball was kind of falling and getting it out of bounce off Mangual.
Yeah, Lewis might be the best rebounder for Waterford, but they certainly miss McCormick's size right now.
Long inbound to Bird, who flies out towards half court to catch it. Bruton off to Campbell. They're a 1-2 punch right now in the backcourt. Bruton saying, good up. Kind of pushing Johnson off him a little bit, trying to create some space. Getting the play screamed out by Dave Cornish, who's not far from where Bruton is standing. And now a drive by Campbell, and the floater is up and good. So after all that, Campbell found a lane, took it, and scored. And it's a 12-point lead now as Waterford breaks the press. Peabody dribbling out. He has Jones on the wing, finds him. Jones jumper, good. And Waterford answers back. Long pass. Somehow Bird got ahead of the pack, and he lays it up and in. And the transition defense, or the just a plain old defense after the make, not good for Waterford. And almost a trap at half court. Johnson again will go to the free throw line, and he's got to start making his free throws.
Yeah, Waterford's missed the front end of a couple 1-and-1s right now, which has been a big difference in allowing this lead to get up to 12. They have to start knocking some of these down. 2 minutes and 16 seconds, and it doesn't feel like it, but Ledyard's opened up a 12-point lead.
Johnson looking to change that. 1-and-1. Both teams with 9 fouls, so it'll be double bonus for both teams on the next foul as Johnson makes it this time. Number 2, no good, and Clinton pulls down the board. Off to Bird, off to Campbell, and Coach Dave Cornish wants to talk things over with his Ledyard corner. So 2:11 to play, as you see. Ledyard 11-point lead over Waterford. Ledyard has really played some slick basketball so far, really kind of textbook basketball, but Waterford's hanging with them again. The offensive firepower is just something Waterford's had trouble overcoming, Casey.
Well, you know, since we saw Ledyard last, we've seen some players that are contributing in this game that weren't part of that game against New London. You're seeing Rashawn Young log significant minutes and allowing Leo Clinton to become coming off the bench, which was something that we didn't see. We're seeing Isaiah McNair logging significant minutes as a sophomore at guard. We're seeing just recently Isaiah Campbell into the basketball game. Campbell and McNair and Young are not names that we said in the first game, but suddenly Ledyard, which went from having no size, is now rotating Young and Clinton and Thomas, and they have size. And they have guards that are scoring. I mean, we haven't said a lot about Mario Graham tonight. He's their second leading scorer. Mario Graham's a top 10 scorer in the ECC this year. And we haven't even called his name because they're using so many different players on offense. Waterford, on the other hand, is right now just trying to survive the war of attrition. And they've brought in Jeffrey Evans, who's a sophomore, to try to get a little size in as well. They're trying to bring out as many big guys as they can, but right now it is really tough to match up. Ledyard is going deeper than we've seen him all year.
And you saw New London on your screen. You better bet New London is taking note of this kind of new look Ledyard team that they didn't see but barely beat a couple of months back as the drive no good. And Ledyard back the other way is Waterford, excuse me. Mangual off to Giannakis, back into the game. Kevin Johnson back on the bench. Peabody, Giannakis, Connor Lewis, Mangual, and then as Casey mentioned, Jeffrey Evans, the sophomore forward. Just about a minute and a half to play. Waterford trailing by 11. Lewis powers it to the hoop, and he might be the strongest guy in the court right now. You kind of see that pitcher's arm and body in him.
As a Division I athlete.
Yeah. Drive no good, and there's Jeffrey Evans skying for the rebound. So he's got some ups, and he got up for the rebound there. Giannakis dribbles out of trouble. Mangual wants it. Corner three, no good. Rebound is Giannakis. So after the pass followed to the hoop, gets the putback, and it's a 7-point lead now for Ledyard. So Waterford, a couple of baskets. Answering back, a nice little screen and go with Clinton from Bruton, but it doesn't go, and Evans another rebound. He's stuck, finds Peabody, a lot of space to work, has Lewis as well. Peabody all the way with the left is good. 5-point lead now for Ledyard. Rashawn Young down the other way, and Mangual steps in, pushes it to Giannakis, who sees Peabody all the way to the hoop, up and good, and it's quickly a 3-point Ledyard lead, and Peabody likes it. Waterford fans like it. Lancer Nation getting into it, and Ledyard kind of back on their heels for the first time of the night.
Well, only one of these teams has a state championship program right now, and that is Waterford. Coach Greg Woods has won one. Ledyard wants what Waterford has, and Waterford showing resilience. They are a resilient Waterford team right now, cutting this thing to a 3-point lead.
5 seconds, Ledyard final shot is up, and a foul. And that's a tough foul at the end of the half here by Mangual. A couple things come out of that. Not the worst foul because it was a drive to the basket by Bird, so you prevent an easy bucket. And now Waterford will have a couple of seconds to get a final shot up here.
Even if he makes both and they go into halftime down 5, that is they're happy where they are because they have a recipe for success that they showed, which was not let Ledyard's bigs roll off the screen. So they were pick and rolling to the basket, and they're not allowing the bigs to get a free look. And on the other side of things, if you can break Ledyard's pressure, you can get baskets.
1 of 2 from Bird, 4-point lead, final chance. Giannakis is going to have to heave it, not even close. Actually, I take that back. Looked like it was going over the backboard, but kind of fell just to the left of the rim. And that takes us to a break here. After 16 fun minutes of action, Ledyard leads 39-35. Keith O'Brien with the coach of the leading team, Dave Cornish. Keith.
All right, Coach, how important is it for you guys to continue half-court pressure?
It's very important. We need to get full-court pressure, not half-court pressure. We need to, pressure their guards and make them make decisions and make passes. The more passes they make, the more team is prone to turn the ball over.
On the offensive end, it seems like you guys have played pretty unselfish basketball. A lot of assists going on out there. You look for somebody to step up, or you're just going to keep forward with the team game on the offensive end?
We're playing unselfish, but we're not taking particularly great shots. We're falling away. Sometimes we're overpassing, so we just got to do a better job on the offensive end.
What's the message in the locker room for the second half?
Take care of the basketball better and a lot more defense.
All right, Coach Dave Cornish goes in to halftime with a 3-point lead here. 4-point lead, sorry, fellas. Should be an interesting second half.
Thank you very much, Keith. And that's the New London High School basketball team. They're awaiting who they're going to play Friday night. Is it going to be Ledyard, who has 39, Waterford, who has 35? We have a whole second half of action here on the MJ Sullivan halftime show, where we're ready for the second half of action coming up. We're going to break down all of what we've got coming up before the second half. But final thought about the first half before we do that.
I mean, that was fun. I'm impressed with the way Waterford answered. Ledyard is such an exciting team, and they really push the ball that they can kind of knock you on your heels, and then you can fall over fast, and we've seen it happen. But what Waterford did is every punch, they had a counter punch, every attack. Even at the end when the lead kind of stretched to 10, 12 points, it was quickly back to 8, 7, 6, and Waterford ran the break really well. They're playing really solid, consistent, fundamental basketball. And you said it, I think you really said it, Casey. Coach Gwuds knows what he's doing, and you can see that in the players on the court.
Well, let's find out what the second half has when we return to the MJ Sullivan halftime show. You're watching Game Day live on theday.com.
See you now on another world. The feeling saying I'm gonna breathe it fast. And I can see you now on another way. Oh, I feel the same.
Watching Game Day live on theday.com, 39-35, Ledyard High School over Waterford. We are going to go down to the sidelines where Keith O'Brien has Ledyard Athletic Director Jim Bunicor. Keith?
Yeah, we are here with a man who wears many hats. First of all, he's Ledyard football coach. He is Ledyard Athletic Director. He is also ECC Boys Basketball Tournament Director, Jimmy Bunicor. Jim, listen, how difficult was this putting this together tonight after the snow and the weather and, same old this winter?
Well, a lot of thanks to Fitch High School and their athletic director, Mark Romano. As of yesterday, we were planning on going to Waterford High School for tonight's semifinals, and with their girls' game getting bumped back to this evening, we had to scramble, and fortunately, we were able to come up with this venue for tonight. It's an outstanding evening. It's the highlight of the winter season, semifinal basketball. On the boys' side, and as you can see, it's a great crowd, great atmosphere.
Yeah, how special is that, having both games? Not a lot of leagues do that, but yours does. They have both semifinals at the same site on one night, and they have the final on a Friday night. Big-time basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you the NCCC and the Shoreline don't do it, so, we're one of the few leagues that does.
All right, what's going on right now with Ledyard Athletics? Obviously, you guys had a tremendous football season. The basketball team is doing very well. Ledyard wrestling as well. Michael's Cup, 3 years in a row?
3 years in a row. We have an outstanding athletic program, great support from our administration. It's a great community, and we have great student athletes and coaches. It's just an honor to be a part of.
They've got a baseball coach, too, and Scott Chasen.
We're excited about the spring. Coach Chasen going to bring a lot of energy and enthusiasm to the program, and certainly brings a great resume.
He is Coach Jim Bunicor. I call him Coach. He is ECC Tournament Director Jim Bunicor. Listen, top-notch program across the board. Coach, thank you.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
I got to get one of those ECC sweater vests.
I was just saying, yeah.
I like to rock the sweater vest. I got to get one of those ECC sweater vests.
Yeah.
Little ECC right here. It'd be pretty good. So we have a lot in store here in the second semifinal of the 2015 ECC Boys Basketball Championship. Mike Guerrero along with Casey O'Neill. A lot more to talk about, including second half action. You're watching Game Day live on theday.com.
Thank you for putting MJ Sullivan Hyundai in the top 15 in the country. We've just been notified that we have won the Hyundai President's Award. We rank in the top 15 dealers nationwide for customer satisfaction, and we're the only dealer in Connecticut to win this award. Consider this, a good deal is not price alone, but it's the service you receive during and after the sale, and that's been the driving force of MJ Sullivan's for nearly 30 years. So come to the MJ Sullivan Automotive Corner in New London or at mjsullivanauto.com, and I personally guarantee you'll be satisfied.
Full crowd here tonight at Fitch High School, where they are watching Ledyard High School with a 39-35 lead over Waterford in the second semifinal of the ECC Boys Basketball Tournament, winner to face New London Friday night. Well, his son Michael is on the Waterford basketball team. He owns Philomena's, but I think we're going to call him prominent public figure, Mike Bassetto. Keith, who you got?
Well, look who I found in the audience just lingering around at a high school basketball game, nevertheless a Waterford basketball game. Mike Bassetto. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. Watching a great game. Fantastic.
How much fun is this? ECC semifinals.
It's great to see the kids compete. It's even greater to see a very good game, a close game. The previous game was a blowout, so this is nice.
Now listen, you're beginning to be that old man status right now because your son's on the floor. I mean, talk about the pride you must feel watching your son play for Waterford.
I do, and if he played for Waterford or Ledyard, New London, it would be great as long as he's playing and he's healthy. But yeah, it's great to see him play. It's a great group of kids, and I'm very proud of them.
You know, as somebody who's in the community like yourself, and you know, you're very active with youth sports and youth adventures and stuff like that. Talk about a tournament like this where you can fit so many people into a gymnasium and just, families and communities, watching basketball like this.
It's great. It's great to see the younger kids come. Like I took a couple kids to the game, and it's great to see them and see their eyes. It's a big eye opener for them, and to see the pressure and how to handle it. And it's very exciting. It's exciting for parents and grandparents and just even the schools that aren't playing. They just want to see a great game, and they're getting their money's worth.
So listen, you're going to be there Friday night.
I will be there. I hope so.
Any predictions here for the second half?
It's going to be close, and I think Waterford's going to squeak it out. That's my prediction.
That's Mike Bassetto. He is a man who's been around town a little bit, New London, Waterford as well. Guys, should be a great second half.
And we're hoping so. And you can tell him, Keith, that I remember Mike Bassetto when he was a ball hog shooting all the time with that handle. But his son, Michael, did a great job in the first half, Mike, of directing some traffic, helping to break some pressure, and they're going to need more ball handlers in the second half of tonight's game if they're going to stay in this thing with Ledyard.
Yeah, Ledyard, you saw the full court pressure. You heard Coach Dave Cornish say we need to continue the full court pressure. Waterford struggled, but then they kind of were able to pass out of it. Mike Bassetto has a good vision. You saw Janakis with some good vision. Johnson even kind of figured out, okay, I can't dribble. They need those ball handlers not to make shots, but not even to make plays really, but just to make passes and kind of give space to the shooters like Peabody, find Lewis down low, McCormick, Manguala. This is going to be a great final 16 minutes.
Well, we saw a late Waterford run get him back to within 4, and the atmosphere here is outstanding. They're excited and ready for second half action, and we hope you are as well. Join us on the other side. You're watching Game Day on theday.com.
At Ledyard High School, we are athletes and fans. We are musicians. We are home to an agri-science and technology center. We offer opportunities to earn college credit. We have 3 student publications and nearly 4 dozen extracurricular clubs. We're inclusive. We're compassionate. We're committed to excellence. We are 12 towns, 4 grades, 1 identity.
We all had one vision, and that was to bring the best cancer care to this area. The number one thing that we wanted was privacy.
We wanted more lighting, enough room for our guests and our caregivers, a common area if you want to socialize.
I still get emotional every time I walk into an infusion room. It's so bright and it's so cheerful.
It's just amazing to know that I had part in designing the building.
You're watching Game Day live on theday.com. The Waterford High School cheerleaders and Lancer Nation trying to overcome a 4-point deficit, and here in the second half. This game is sponsored by Charter Oak Federal Credit Union. Charter Oak is offering 35 $2,000 scholarships, one at every high school in New London and Windham counties. Get the details at any Charter Oak branch or online at charteroak.org. That's charteroak.org. And we are all set and wrapped up with the MJ Sullivan halftime show. We are getting ready for third quarter action. 39-35. The Waterford bench excited. You see young Mike Facetto clapping his hands. What a great atmosphere. The crowd is full, and we are ready for second half action.
And you better believe that Waterford wants to go back home. One more ECC game in their own gym Friday, and they want a little revenge. Both these teams want revenge against New London, who beat both these teams early in the year. New London beat Waterford pretty handily, and Ledyard, again, we showed it in the pregame in the New London game, the last-second shot. So both these teams a lot to play for, and you will see it here in the final half of play.
And the ball is knocked out of bounds. It'll stay Waterford ball. Waterford with Johnson, Jones, Peabody, Lewis in the game for McCormick, who has foul trouble, and Mangual, McNair, Graham, Thomas, and Young and Bruton in the game for Ledyard, their original 5. Jones cutting to the basket. Nice defense by McNair. Ledyard trapping. They've got Jones. He finds Connor Lewis to the cutting Peabody, and Waterford cuts it to a 2-point game. 39-37, exactly what they needed coming out of here in the second half.
Yeah, they made something out of nothing. Good job by Jones kind of moving out of the trap in the corner, found Lewis, and then good job by Lewis. Peabody saw the play developing, cut to the basket immediately when the ball left Jones's hands to Lewis, and then Lewis found him quickly, and Peabody, easy layup.
Bruton being guarded by Jones, the defensive specialist, to McNair. Nice job cutting to the basket. Thomas no good, but the follow by Young is good, and the Ledyard back on top by 4. The other way, Mangual misses the layup with the left. Out of it comes Bruton. That could be key. Ahead to Graham streaking. And just like that, what could have been a tie instead is a 6-point Ledyard lead.
Yeah, you're not going to outrun Ledyard. You can't run with them. So if they get running, you're pretty much done for. And the jump ball there, good effort on defense by McNair, who was only a sophomore guard. We saw him inserted into the starting lineup. And a good play there by the sophomore.
Bruton to the basket, strong left-hander is good, up high. You didn't see him do that in the first half much. Bruton strong. Other way, a trap and a turnover by Waterford. Graham with it to the basket. No good, ball tipped. Bruton controls behind the back, and Ledyard will set up shop with an 8-point lead just like that.
It's interesting because Waterford spent about 90 seconds in the locker room during halftime and came right back out. They were riding the momentum, that wave, to finish the second half. Ledyard was in there for almost the entire halftime. So you've seen Ledyard come out and play equally as good as Waterford. Waterford kind of rode the momentum quickly to open up, but then Ledyard, again, you can't run with them. So if Ledyard gets out running and gunning, you are in trouble.
Nice job that time by Waterford to break pressure, but tipped out of bounds. We're going to see a substitution, Ben Gill, into the basketball game, replacing Rashawn Young, and we saw some good minutes from Ben Gill in the New London game.
Yeah, and Coach Dave Cornish going to his bench, he has confidence in these guys, and we did. Ben Gill is a guy who can step out and shoot it a little bit, so just gives another option for Ledyard to shoot the ball with.
Peabody found Lewis, no good. McNair the other way, out to Thomas, running the break, and it is good. Philip Thomas running the break for Ledyard, and then just like that, a 10-point lead and a strip. Oh, what a look from Bruton. But Thomas can't finish, and instead he fouls Connor Lewis, and that's going to settle things down here, but
wow.
Eyes in the back of his head for Deonde Bruton.
That was an incredible play.
Waterford back where they started, down 10, an 8-0 run here by Ledyard. Peabody running the break now. Ahead to Lewis, couldn't handle it. Graham comes out with it. Long pass ahead to Thomas. This time he's got the layup, and Greg Gwudge wants a timeout because just like that, a 10-0 run after Waterford had cut it to 2. Puts Ledyard back on top by 12, 49-37.
And what you're seeing right now is Waterford figured out how to break the press. They're getting the ball up the court quickly, but they're running almost the same play every time. You're seeing the drive up the right lane and then kind of going for the bounce pass, and Ledyard is doing a much better job racing back after the press is broken and getting back on transition or on defense, just following the press break and stepping into the passing lane so they're not allowing easy shots. And the interesting thing now is, when does Kyle McCormick come back into the game? He's just such a big body, and he can stand at the center of the court, help get the press break, and then help get rebounds. Gives you a guy who you can dump it down to on the block. Because right now you just have a lot of shooters out there, and then Connor Lewis, who is an option, but isn't necessarily the size and the rebound. He's a good rebounder, but doesn't have the length that McCormick has. So it'll be interesting to see if McCormick comes back in sooner than later.
All right, we're going to go down to the sidelines. Keith O'Brien, what do you got?
In the halftime, during the timeout here in the huddle, Coach Wads was expressing, keep your head up. Do not put your head down. This team is very, very fast. You can't blink your eye for 1 second or they're going to give up easy baskets.
Waterford breaking pressure. Lewis with the basketball. He'll give it over to Johnson. Waterford needs a basket here, down 12. High screen, Johnson launches a three, got it, big basket that time. Kevin Johnson, that's why Coach Woods put him in the starting lineup. He said he's got a toughness that he loves.
A great shot. We know Johnson can shoot it as great. Just great ball work by Bruton bringing it down. He'll go to the foul line for 2 free throws, but we know Johnson can shoot it. That was kind of what we saw from him in the game against in London when they kind of got run off the floor. We saw him as a guy who brought them back into that game. He was able to shoot the three. He was almost a three-point specialist in that game. Obviously, he's counted on to do a lot more now, but you saw the look after he hit the three, just kind of steely, the Visine in the eyes, like just turn around and walk back down the other way and try to guard Bruton, who is one and made the first of his 2 free throws.
10-point lead. Thomas is the leading scorer for Ledyard, though Bruton's trying to catch up. Peabody, who you just saw got the rebound, leads Ledyard with 15. And a turnover, Peabody off his own foot. Great defense by Philip Thomas. And it'll be Ledyard ball, 10-point lead.
And the energy and the speed and athleticism starting to kind of aggravate Waterford a little bit. We have a timeout.
No, we're going to get a foul away from the ball on Deontay Bruton. Setting a screen. Waterford ball, 5 minutes remaining here in the third period. Coach Cornish not happy about that. When have you ever seen a coach go, you know, that was a fantastic call, Mr. Official. I'd like to thank you for wisely calling this game. No, not that time.
How often do you see the point guard, meanwhile, getting a foul call off the ball on a moving screen? I mean, almost never.
Nice job by Peabody. Tries to find Jones, but it's off Jones's hands. I thought that one was tipped, but officials say no, and it's going to go back over to Ledyard. Tough break for Waterford.
I think Coach Woods agreed with you as well.
Coach
but again,
Woods, who's also rocking the sweater vest, by the way.
Yeah.
Just you know.
Did you guys call and talk beforehand?
Well, we were on the same. We were all, you know, hanging out
in the same, email chain.
Basket is good, and the foul. Deontay Bruton starting to take a little bit of control here in the second half. Puts Ledyard on top 12, and as you said, there comes Kyle McCormick back into the basketball game for Waterford, along with Mike Giannakis, and Jones and Johnson will sit. Now this lineup's the biggest lineup because they also have Jeffrey Evans in the game. It's their biggest lineup, but it lacks the truest of the ball handlers, so we're going to see how they break the pressure.
Yeah, it's going to be Peabody and it's going to be Giannakis. Lewis is actually kind of a sneaky ball handler. He kind of plays center field during the press break. So we'll see if they try to get it to him. Giannakis handling now. He's in a really bad spot and he loses the ball.
Steal, nice job, McNair over to Bruton. But 15-point lead, and Ledyard has blood in the water. They are feeling it right now. Pressuring McCormick. He's got nowhere to go. Another 5 second, or is it time? We're going to unclear as we had some confusion. We're going to get a timeout. It's 55-40. Ledyard with its biggest lead of the game. You know, Waterford came out in the seconds of the second half, cut it to 2, and since then it has been all Ledyard.
Yeah, this is the tipping point right now. Waterford needs to kind of stem the tide because Ledyard is just about to run away with this thing. Ledyard has a ton of energy. I mean, they have not let up. They just run and run and run, and just when you think they're going to stop running, they continue to run, and Waterford's got to make baskets because that's the only way to slow down that fast tempo of Ledyard.
Yeah, right now Ledyard is firing on all cylinders, and you see Coach Cornish wanting to push even more. There's Bruton with a steal, and then Mike Pacetto just into the game with a steal on the other way. Nice look that time to Evans, and he was fouled. Young Mike Pacetto that time, good court vision, found Jeffrey Evans, and he's going to go to the line to shoot 2.
The young of the Waterford Lancers helping them kind of regain some momentum. Pacetto, the freshman, into the game. Peabody lost it. Pacetto got into the lane and got the steal back, and then the sophomore Evans running the court with him will go to the free throw line. It was almost a block from behind, but a little bit of the hands, and Evans hits the first.
Right now, Waterford needs some points, obviously, but they also need to find a way to quell the energy of Ledyard. Right now, Ledyard's energy is absolutely off the charts. And this crowd here feeling that Ledyard is on the edge of pushing this thing away. McCormick with a strong rebound, but he's going to travel with it. Ledyard basketball and a 14-point lead.
Close. Looked like McCormick almost got pushed there. Almost could have been a foul call. Like the Ledyard defense just kind of got into him and made him force the travel, but instead they just give the travel.
Bruton with the basketball for the Colonels. He's guarded by Peabody, McNair, and Evans. Thomas spins to the basket, hangs, no good, rebound loose. Thomas gets his own rebound. Back to McNair, long three, no good, and a strong rebound by Connor Lewis for Waterford. He gives it up to Peabody, and Waterford will look to push. Ledyard backing off the pressure.
I think you need Peabody to get going. He's your leading scorer. You need him to kind of work your way back into this game.
On cue, Peabody goes into the lane, pulls up and scores, cutting the lead to 12. Bruton the other way with the right hand, switches back over, gives it out to Philip Thomas, and they'll reset. Waterford in man, Bruton takes Peabody. Three-pointer, no good, strong rebound by Evans. We've got some good minutes out of Jeffrey Evans for Waterford. Up to Pacetto, and he's gonna push.
Almost a foul on Peabody on the three, but no call.
Into the corner, Lewis, no good. To the foul line to Pacetto, jumper rolls around, no good. Strong effort by Evans. Out it goes to Peabody. In the lane, he is harassed, and he turns it over to Graham. Tough turnover, but Pacetto intercepts the pass and comes the other way for Waterford. Crossover, bounce pass to Evans. Back to Pacetto, quick three, no good. Thought that one had a chance, but McCormick tracks it down and loses it out of bounds. Back over to the Colonels, and we're going to see Isaiah Campbell and Andrew Bird check into the ball game for Ledyard. They will replace Mario Graham.
And you saw Peabody on the last play just standing in the right corner, calling for the ball, and Waterford couldn't find him. He was wide open for a three, and he wanted it, but they just couldn't get it over to him. Gotta love what you're seeing from Mike Pacetto right now, the freshman. There's no reason to take him out of the game. He's been great.
Nice job by Lewis as he dives to the floor. Knocks it out of bounds. It's going to stay Ledyard basketball. Jake Mangual comes back into the ball game. He's going to replace Connor Lewis, who's given them some really nice minutes here, staying in the game since he first checked in.
Yeah, quick breather probably for Lewis and get him back in there sooner rather than later.
Pacetto has the tough job of guarding Bruton. Bruton blows right by him. Bird on the floor. Gill with the rebound for Ledyard in the putback, and he's fouled. Ben Gill will go to the line. He'll shoot two with a chance to extend a 12-point lead.
We're at an interesting time right now. The energy, it's kind of tense. You can feel it in the air. Both teams, Ledyard's kind of speed has been stemmed. Waterford was able to kind of cut that a little bit, and Ledyard hasn't been scoring at will the last couple of minutes like they were, but Waterford not able to catch up. So it's kind of a chess game. Which team is going to make the big move next?
Gill misses both, and Waterford comes out of it. Pacetto pushing to the corner. Great look to McCormick. It goes off of him to Mangual, who is fouled on the way up. Pacetto hit McCormick in the head, and it skipped right to Jake Mangual, and he's going to end up shooting two.
That's how they drew it up. Off the fingers of McCormick to Mangual. I think that was the play.
In soccer, that's called a flick.
Yeah.
In football, it's called the tip drill.
Right.
Mangwell makes the first. Leo Clinton checks back into the ball game, replacing Ben Gill.
And you're seeing an interesting lineup decisions by Coach Gludz, and they've been paying off. Jeffrey Evans, a lot of run. He's a sophomore. Mike Bassetto, a lot of run. He's a freshman. Isaiah Jones has been hardly in the game. He's had some foul trouble, but just also not scoring like you would hope from a guy like Jones. And the defense wasn't there against Bruton, so they took him out. Lewis is just getting a quick breather, but Mike Janakis hasn't been in as much. Kevin Johnson hasn't been in as much. So Coach Gludz saying, hey, we're going with what got us there.
Lane violation against Ledyard's going to give Mangwell another one, and he misses that one as well. Rebound by Thomas, outlets to Campbell. 11-point lead for Ledyard. Campbell to Bruton. Peabody draws the assignment on him. Bruton goes right. Pull-up 10-footer is good. Deontay Bruton starting to score. The other way comes Mikey Bassetto dribbling through pressure. You know you can't do that. Turns it over to Bruton, and it's loose again. Waterford comes up with it with Peabody. Ledyard, 4 men to the basketball. Thomas turns over, comes in. Layup is good. Ledyard had 4 men on the basketball.
Great hustle, great energy. That's a dangerous pass. No chance.
Bruton gets it and throws it away. 15-point Ledyard lead, 1:28 remaining. Lewis and Jones back into the ball game for Waterford. McCormick and Mangwell out of the game for Waterford.
I'm not really sure what Waterford can do right now. I hope Coach Gludz has a better plan. Another dribble through the pressure.
You know, I can see why Ledyard's going to give people fits even in Class LL because they're so hyper aggressive. It's like the old Bears defense where they just overload and send so many people to the ball. They're banking that you won't be able to stay poised and focused, and then you're going to turn it over. If you can break it, you can score in bunches against them.
Yeah. And right now, Waterford's not shooting the basketball well enough on defense, so Ledyard could just kind of have a field day defending the ball.
Oh, strong move. Philip Thomas right up against Connor Lewis, and the pressure it's not going anywhere. There's how you break it. Nice pass to Lewis. He comes the other way, hands it off to Janakis, and Waterford will run a set. Down 17. Wow, just like that.
And what looked like it would be a neck-and-neck game has quickly become a Ledyard kind of domination, and Waterford is going to have to find something in the final quarter.
Evans no good, but Jones with the rebound. Nice pump fake, and basket's good. Isaiah Jones is going to go to the line. 61-46. Coach Greg Gludz looking around right now for answers. Looking around and going, do I have Jordan or Pippen on the bench right now?
Where?
McCormick back into the ball game, replacing Evans. Evans logging some very good minutes for Waterford tonight.
Probably more than he's used to, but successful nonetheless.
No good, but Lewis, strong rebound, gives it to Bassetto, to Janakis, and Waterford with 34 seconds remaining trying to cut into this 15-point lead.
Who scores now? Peabody not in the game. Someone else has to score, and they're all kind of looking around to see who that someone is going to be, and looks like they're going to hold it for the last shot.
Good choice at this point. Bassetto shakes Bird to the lane, kicks it back out to Jones. Janakis off of Bruton. He turns it over to Bruton. Bruton coming the other way with numbers. Strong to the basket. Deontay Bruton, dipsy-do, and for 2. 63-46, and a turnover. Clinton with the interception. And that'll end the third period. And what a third period it was for the number 2 seed at Ledyard High School Colonels, turning a 4-point halftime into a 17 third quarter lead, 63-46. We have one more quarter of action. Can Waterford mount a comeback, or is Ledyard destined to move on and face New London Friday night in the finals? Let's find out. You're watching Game Day live on theday.com.
Thank you for putting MJ Sullivan Hyundai in the top 15 in the country. We've just been notified that we have won the Hyundai President's Award. We rank in the top 15 dealers nationwide for customer satisfaction, and we're the only dealer in Connecticut to win this award. Consider this: a good deal is not price alone. but it's the service you receive during and after the sale. And that's been the driving force of MJ Sullivan's for nearly 30 years. So come to the MJ Sullivan Automotive Corner in New London or at mjsullivanauto.com, and I personally guarantee you'll be satisfied.
Here, I was just talking to ECC site director, tournament director Jim Bunicor, who thinks his Ledyard Colonels might have a game on Friday night against New London, and
why not?
And as right now, it's scheduled to be back at Waterford. But what a great job Fitch High School has done in hosting this thing. A lot of thanks to Fitch for doing it on such short notice. Mark Romano, Jimmy Bunicor, getting a tournament semifinal off on 1 day's notice, and seamlessly, I might add.
Seamlessly indeed, and they had us. We were scheduled to be in Waterford. They graciously made room for us, hosted us, and we appreciate that. The whole game day crew appreciates it.
Had to do some finagling, but we got it taken care of. 17-point lead for Ledyard. Take it away, Mike.
All right, Casey, as we get set for our final 8 minutes, Peabody driving, trying to get Waterford back in. No, and Clinton the board. Leading scorers, Peabody 17 for Waterford, Thomas 19, Bruton 18 for the Colonels. A quiet 18, if you can say that, for Bruton, who's been as sensational as usual. And this lead, a eyelash away from 20 points, and Ledyard kind of running away, setting up their plans for Friday night.
The two games sort of the reverse of each other. The first game was a big blowout in the first half, and then out of nowhere, Wyndham made a game of it. In this one, Waterford, we thought, had a chance to pull this thing off, and out of nowhere, Ledyard with a 17-point lead.
Thomas driving. Excuse me, that's Bird. Well, that was Thomas.
You were right.
I was right.
Go with your instincts.
Yeah. Other than a couple of inches, they look pretty similar, and they're only a number apart. And we have a Ledyard timeout. 7:26 to play. The winner of this one goes to the ECC final. Waterford Friday night against undefeated number 1 New London, who held on against a scrappy Wyndham Whippets team in the opener of this one. If you're just joining us, New London was able to pull that one out. 20 points from Seth Lake in the win. So tonight's winner will play New London, and what's sure to be, it'll be a rematch no matter what. Waterford was kind of pasted by New London earlier this year. Ledyard lost on a last-second shot, so that will be a fun one Friday night no matter who comes out here tonight against Waterford or Ledyard.
Well, if Ledyard comes out Friday night and plays like this, I'm really, really fascinated with how New London's going to handle it, because New London, though Nabate Metz is a good ball handler, Sawyer can handle the basketball, Lake can handle the basketball, Parker can handle the basketball, but they're going to have to break. No one can handle the basketball to break this Ledyard pressure. That's going to have to be through passing the basketball. So if I'm New London, tomorrow's entire practice is on breaking pressure.
Down the court, Leo Clinton getting back. Johnson thought he had an easy layup, and Leo Clinton had other thoughts. It'll be Waterford basketball, but that was an exciting play from the senior. Inbound to Peabody, finds an open Jones, who has been shy to shoot it. Now Johnson launches a three, and a rebound to Thomas over the back on McComick, number 4. And we are almost in the bonus. Not for Waterford. Waterford 14 fouls, and Ledyard with 6. So the next Ledyard foul will put Waterford in the 1-1.
Well, if Ledyard can hold on to this 17-point lead, it sets up sort of the final that we had thought we were going to get, and many people had hoped we were going to get. Rematch of the very exciting Ledyard-New London game, and that is a game, of course, full of storylines, not the least of which is they're probably the two best teams in the ECC. And with Ledyard playing like this, certainly lending to the belief that New London's undefeated season is severely at risk on Friday night.
And you saw Clinton almost come down with a great board, but lost it a bounce. Waterford will try to break it. And as we watch Waterford struggle again with the pressure, the big question, Casey, becomes, can New London handle the speed of Ledyard? I mean, we know how good New London is, but the speed of a team like that might give them some problems. I'm going to hold you on that, and we'll go down to Keith O'Brien and circle back on that thought. Keith?
Casey, Mike, when you look forward to Friday night's game, it's been a long, long time since New London's been battle-tested. The last time they were in a big game with their backs against the wall a little bit was against Ledyard almost a month ago. So, Friday night, Casey, like you said, could be the, what's standing between them and an undefeated season.
As we see Peabody go to the line for a 1-1. Thank you, Keith. He makes the first one. And Casey, I'll let you follow up on Keith's point there.
Well, because I don't think, unless your name is, Rajon Rondo or, Chris Paul, you're not dribbling through this pressure. So having a ball handler, Waterford has ball handlers. Bacetto's a ball handler. Johnson's a ball handler. So that's not how you break this, especially this kind of pressure. Right now, the closest I can equate the pressure that Ledyard's putting out there is like a blitz in football. You have to figure out where the pressure's coming from, understand that there's an open man out there somewhere, and pass the ball to that open man. If there are 4 guys guarding you, there are 3 other guys who have no one guarding them. I mean, that's simple math. So that's the way you break pressure against an overload pressure like this. This isn't a classic 1-3-1 trap or anything like that. This is guys swarming to the basketball, trying to rattle you to where you can't get the ball. So New London has the following. It's got team size. It's got Sawyer and Parker and Lake, who are long enough to pass the ball over this kind of pressure with enough of handling ability to dribble the ball here and there to get into proper spots. But the way you break pressure again like this is by passing the basketball. So New London can break the pressure. The question is, will Ledyard try to pressure them the way they're pressuring Waterford tonight if New London can break it a little bit early, because New London is a better handling team than Waterford.
And you saw Jones make a couple of free throws while we were discussing there, and then quickly back the other way. Thomas answers with the bucket and one, and it just, we don't want to, the fat lady hasn't sung quite yet, but when you're looking at this game, it's hard to see Waterford mounting a comeback because Ledyard is just continuing to really have their way offensively. And we will see the free throw is in for Thomas, who has been a leading scorer tonight. He has 22 now. Thanks.
Well, when Waterford made their run in the first half, they did it on 2 ends. Well, they broke pressure, so they were able to get easy baskets. And then defensively, they defended the bigs. They didn't let them get to the basket, and they got some turnovers. What we're seeing here is, one, they're not breaking pressure. And then on the other side of things, nice job that time, breaking pressure, easy basket. Right. But on the other side of things, Bruton is just taking a little bit more control right now, and Ledyard's doing a better job getting good shots. Evidence there by a great basket by Thomas. You heard Coach Cornish say, yeah, we're playing unselfish, but we're not taking good shots and maybe overpassing. Every shot they've gotten here in the last 5 minutes has been inside the paint.
Yeah. 24 now for Thomas, looking to make it 25. And Bruton hasn't really needed to take a star and roll tonight. He still has a bucket load of points. Thomas 25 now, but he's been able to kind of sit back and facilitate, like you said, Casey, and kind of run the game. And it will be interesting because a guy like Thomas will be effective against New London, but nowhere near the effectiveness tonight when you have Parker. You have Sawyer probably guarding a guy like Thomas. You have Cespedes, a big body in the middle. As Young gets it off the inbound, no good, but there he is again, as if we haven't said his name enough. Thomas, now 27. Long pass to Johnson, a deep three. Woo! That was from the volleyball inbounds line. The volleyball serving line there. Anyways, Waterford cutting the lead to 16 points still. 6 minutes to go, a long mountain to climb.
Yeah, and you know what? Right now, we said in the beginning of the game that someone else was going to have to step up alongside Deontay Bruton for Ledyard to advance. And, Mario Graham, again, top 10 scorer in the ECC, been quiet tonight because Philip Thomas has been scoring all the points. Philip Thomas has had, I don't know if it's his career high, but certainly an outstanding effort tonight, scoring at will, almost close to 30 points at this point. Back to your original point about pressure and what New London can do, 27 for Philip Thomas, so he may crack 30 before it's done. What's going to happen Friday night is that the players that we talk about that are role players, the Major Romans, the Eddie Gilberts, are going to have to come into this game, are going to come in Friday night and play a role. Guys who are outside of, because Ledyard's pressure mandates you have to go 8 deep, 9 deep, 10 deep, and somebody is going to have to play a role in that game outside of the normal people. For Ledyard's side of the thing, which big guy is going to come up that night? Leo Clinton, Rashawn Young, Ben Gill, Philip Thomas. That's going to be the question for them.
And speaking of the bigs, Thomas, who has 27, has combined for 35 points with that man, Rashawn Young, who tried to go for 2 more. Young has 8 tonight. Lewis and McCormick, the bigs for Waterford, have combined for 17. Johnson will lift off again, and he'll get it. So channeling some of that Wyndham Whippets energy from the earlier game, and the lead is now 13. So maybe I'm speaking too soon. 5.5 minutes, a lot of time. So
if it gets to 8, I'll be on board.
You saw Jones deflect the long pass out of bounds. Ledyard keeps. Dangerous inbounds. Peabody takes it. Has Johnson. Peabody will take it all the way up and in, and it's 11. So we are a one score away from a single-digit lead, and now Bruton taking over one-on-one to the basket, no good, but he'll go to the free throw line for 2, and that's where having a all-state caliber player comes in handy.
Yeah, that's like the stopper, and that's 5 on Connor Lewis, and he's going to be out of the game. We're going to see Kyle McCormick coming in for him. That's like a stopper in Major League Baseball. You're on a losing streak, you got someone that comes out there and puts a stop to it. No matter what kind of run you're on against Ledyard, get the ball in Bruton's hands, that the run stops.
Yeah. And you see Lewis coming out, had a great game today, talking things over with Coach Woods and McCormick. And McCormick also has 4, so he's a foul away from being out of here as Bruton coolly makes the free throw.
We should acknowledge that that's Connor Lewis's final minute in an ECC basketball game. The 4-year contributor, senior, heading off for Division I baseball at the University of Hartford. That's his final ECC moment, but plenty of good moments to come as they have a state tournament to play in, and they'll make some noise in that Class M tournament.
As we have a timeout after both free throws are sunk by Bruton, Coach Cornish calling a timeout to talk things over. So Coach Cornish kind of sensing, all right, we have a 13-point lead, but, you know, Waterford has made a little bit of a stand here, so let's talk things over. Coach Woods trying to kind of will his team these final 5 minutes. What might work? We got Jesse's Girl playing. Fans getting into it. Great crowd here. Local fans from Fitz showing up, and of course all the fans from the teams will be in Waterford on Friday. 7:30 tip, 7:15 on game day on theday.com. All the pregame fun. And a sellout, actually, for tonight's 1,200 strong here at the Fitch Gym. So a good, raucous, but polite crowd. And trap along the sideline, a turnover. It'll go to Ledyard. Dangerous pass. Johnson kind of fighting Bruton. Bruton kind of shoved him aside. Thomas, nice pass to Young, who pushes it up and in, and the lead back to 15. So like Casey mentioned, magic number was kind of 8. Waterford not there yet, and another steal. Bruton all the way up and good, and it's now 17. So literally in the matter of 60 seconds, it's Ledyard has kind of quickly iced this thing away.
Too easy for Ledyard to score, too hard for Waterford to.
And another steal, great anticipation. Thomas, he wants more, he will get it. 29 now for Philip Thomas, who's come, we know he's a good player, but he's come out of seemingly nowhere tonight to score 29. Didn't expect that from him. Quickly back the other way. Nice pass by Johnson to Evans, who is back in the game. He'll go to the line for 2 free throws, but again, lead 19. And this is the point where we're going to start teasing that Friday night game more and more.
One of the reasons why the Ledyard pressure is so good is the typical way you're taught to break pressure. So when you're teaching how to break pressure at practice, you tell players where to go on the floor. And what I've noticed about Waterford is they're going to the spots you typically would go to, except there's too much court between where the ball is and where they are. And Ledyard covers that ground faster than you would normally think. So when you tell somebody, go into the corner and you're a resource for breaking the pressure, you can't go as far as you normally would because Ledyard covers that ground more quickly than you can teach in a practice because you don't have the personnel to simulate it.
Peabody A three off the rebound, off the missed free throws, and here comes Ledyard back the other way again. And we have a steal, and here it comes. And it's almost out of bounds, and then out of bounds on Waterford. And we'll think it's Ledyard ball before we have an answer. Let's go to Keith O'Brien.
You know, Casey, you talk about the Ledyard pressure. The one thing that makes it very, very successful is a couple of guys from the football team, you know, playing center field on that press. So it's very, very hard even to throw a deep ball and beat it because they're very athletic and they have a sense for where the ball is going, Casey.
That's right. You know, a good point was raised that the finals, if they get that far, are played at Mohegan Sun, which is a bigger basketball court than what we have here. And I'm not sure if that's helpful or not for the Ledyard pressure. More ground for them to be able to pressure and harder to get those passes, you know, in longer space, but at the same time, more ground to cover as well.
Right.
That's an interesting point about the larger courts at Mohegan Sun. But part of the problem is you don't have the personnel to simulate it. You know, if you're going to go out and you're going to play against a unique player, the problem is you don't have the personnel to simulate that player. So when, you know, I know coaches that use 6 people to pressure. So they say, you know what, on our team's we're gonna bring in 6 people, and it's gonna be 5 on 6, so that we can simulate sort of the chaos and the confusion. You feel like there's always an extra guy. I promise you, there are times tonight where Landon Peabody is like, do they have 8 people on the floor right now?
And back at the free throw line is McNair. 20-point lead, just shy of that, as McNair will take the free throw. Up and good now, 20. 3:42 to play, and Ledyard for the second straight game in this tournament has eclipsed 80 points. So the offensive machine of the Colonels continues to move forward, and we had a foul on the rebound against Ledyard. It'll go back the other way. Free throws, 1-and-1 situation for Waterford, down 20, 3:41 to play. Now, New London has the scorers, but Ledyard by far is you don't want to say has more offensive firepower because it's not necessarily true. But the frenetic style that they play is definitely built for a higher scoring affair. Does New London try to score with them? Because we know they can. Or you're shaking your head, so you think no?
Well, I think that you have to be careful not to react too much to the game we're seeing tonight. Part of why Ledyard looks as amazing as they do is because they have a good matchup with Waterford in the pressure area, and they didn't have that same success. I mean, this Ledyard team is still essentially the same Ledyard team that we saw. The pressure that they apply is still essentially the pressure they applied against New London at Ledyard, and New London was able to break it and settle into an offense, and they didn't allow. And the reverse is true. Waterford can't pressure Ledyard. New London can pressure Ledyard. And one of the ways to slow down Ledyard is to pressure them a little bit, because outside of Bruton, their ball handlers can be tested a little bit. Even though they've got guys like Graham and McNair and Bird who can handle, you know, test them too. Sometimes the best way to attack somebody's strength is to go after that strength and make them do it on the opposite side. So I think it's a fascinating matchup Friday night, because off of the games we saw today, we saw a good way to make the matchup feel like Ledyard's the favorite. You know, you saw New London. Let's not forget how New London looked in the first half of that game against Wyndham.
Right.
They looked like they were an unbeatable team. They had everything going. They play a bad second half, and suddenly they look human. Let's not forget that in the second quarter of this game, Waterford came back from an 11-point lead and made Ledyard look very average. And now Ledyard is looking invincible. So which Ledyard and which New London are we going to get on Friday night? Depending on which group we get, we could have another epic right down to the wire, or it could be I mean, there is literally no score that you can give me for Friday night that I don't think is possible. I think either team could win by 20, or we could get a last-second shot like we did in the first one.
And Waterford trying to crawl back into it, no luck. And another basket down the other way. The lead was 13 for a second, 15. Now it's back to 19. And I agree, Casey, with you. By no means are we trying to sell New London short. Just kind of weighing the opposing options. Jones for 3 finally gets one to fall. And I think one of the keys that is obviously a massive difference from Waterford and New London is just the shooters. with Colin Sawyer, one of the best players in the state. Seth Lake can shoot the three. Nabate Metz, we've seen, can shoot the three. Had a great game against Ledyard last time around. We know what C.J. Parker and Cespedes and Roman and Gilbert bring to the table as well. So the weapons are certainly a different collection for New London than for Waterford.
Team speed for New London is going to be much better than what Waterford has. Listen, Waterford's an incredibly resilient team, a senior-laden team. They're going to be competitive in Class M. They're fantastically coached by Greg Guads. This is a formidable opponent, but they are not on the level of Ledyard athletically or in team speed, and it's kind of showing tonight. New London is, let's not forget, 20-0 or 21-0, ranked second in the state. That New London team is not Waterford. They beat Waterford twice as well. So I am very excited about Friday night. I hope everybody who is out there decides that they want to listen to us and watch us on game day live here on theday.com Friday night, 7:15, because New London Ledyard 2 is coming your way. It's like the Sharknado 2.
And we know how that went. Phenomenally. There we go. 86-70, a minute and a half, 90 seconds to play. A three launched up there, no good. Evans, who's had his name called a lot, comes down with the rebound. So it'll be undefeated New London, 18-3, soon 19-3 Ledyard. Friday night, Waterford looking ahead for them. They're the number 4 team unofficially, and geez Louise, Philip Thomas. It's like hitting the ocean out of a boat right now for him. He continues to light it up now with 34 points for Thomas tonight.
You know, looking ahead, we probably won't see Waterford again this year. But,
but in Class M, they certainly, like you said, ranked top 4 teams. There's no reason why they can't make their way to a semifinal, a final, hey, maybe a state title.
Absolutely. That's 25 for Peabody. Now, Peabody's back next year along with Johnson and Pacetto. So there's their 3-guard rotation next year, all back. So is Giannakis, who's likely to go out to a wing next year and play a little bit bigger. And Mangual, the junior, is back, as is Jeffrey Evans, who we saw him play big minutes tonight. So you've got the starting 5 right there. Next year, they'll probably go Mangual, Evans, and 3 guards with Johnson, Peabody, and Giannakis. And then some of these other sophomores, someone's going to step up. Someone's going to grow a whole lot in between the year. So you're going to see this Waterford team next year right back at it. So don't be surprised. And some of the names that are on the floor right now might be the names that we call, and I'm going to let you do that.
All right, so we have a minute to play, and the coaches, a nice gesture, clearing the benches, getting the starters out. So it'll be Thomas who finishes with 34 on the Ledyard side, and Landon Peabody, who is out of the game as well, had 25 for Waterford, and now a technical foul against Ledyard, as they had too many men on the court, which you usually see in football.
No, I think for a while Waterford was like saying they had 8 guys on the floor as it was. So.
Right now on the floor, we got a second little reset for you. Waterford's lineup is Mike Pacetto, who we've heard, Jeff Evans, who we've also heard, Jamal Iderino, who we've seen earlier this year a little bit. He's a junior forward. He'll be part of the plan next year. And then the other couple of guys, we have Colin Shannon, a sophomore guard, and Michael Ricchetti, a junior guard. On the Ledyard side, we have Logan Hinton, the junior center. Covering the ball right now is Alex DeNova, sophomore guard. Trying to get through all these guys, get their names mentioned here. Also on the floor, Anthony Vitorito, junior forward, as well as Dakota Kilgore, a junior forward. And finally, who did I miss? Kevin Hutchins, junior center. So there we go.
Nice job.
Thank you. Hutchins is 35, Hinton 44, Vitorito 32, Kilgore 31, Genova 15.
And they all look like high school. They all look like high school kids.
Yeah. Make sure to stay tuned. We will have Keith with Coach Cornish. Probably Philip Thomas after this one. Iderino launches one up. No good. And it falls into the hands of Genova. So he's into the stat book. Down the court, Kilgore gives it off to Hutchins. That one goes begging. Back the other way. Last second. Woo! when we almost had one for the highlight reel. No good. And our final 89-74. Ledyard moves on, and the rematch, the revenge matchup, the battle of the L's, New London and Ledyard, is set for Friday night, 7:15 again pregame here with a tip around 7:30 from Waterford High School. But stay tuned, Ledyard High School postgame show right now. Keith O'Brien will go and get Coach Cornish, Philip Thomas, maybe a third player. Casey, not much more to say, though, about this one.
Well, you know, Waterford, we thought we had a chance to make a game of it, and like anything else, as soon as Mike Bassetto made his prediction.
Scored 74 points.
They did score 74 points, but
yeah,
it fell apart pretty quickly, and let's find out from some of the Ledyard people here what exactly happened.
Keith?
All right, guys. Coach, your congratulations.
Thank you.
Seems like you pressed him and wear him down in the second half, full court pressure.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's our staple, so, you know, it worked tonight.
Well, what'd you say at halftime? It must have sparked the team a little bit.
We just had to get, back to playing the way we play. I mean, we played a little bit in spurts in the first half, but the second half we turned it all the way up.
Well, I don't know if you know about this now, but you got another crack at New London on Friday night.
We do? Nah, it should be another great game. I look forward to it, and we're fortunate to be in it.
I mean, so you're happy with your team's performance today going into that game on Friday?
Second half, yes, I am.
All right. Well, listen, I don't want to stand too close to this guy because I might get burned. He was on fire. Philip Thomas, 34 points. Where did that come from?
I don't know. I'm just playing within my team. It's not an individual sport. Feeding off them, running press, everything. Like, it's just easy baskets from all my team.
It seemed like you guys played unselfish basketball, too. A lot of assists out there. A lot of people had each other's back out there, especially in the offensive end.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we try to do. Like I said, pressing. That's our forte. That's what we do no matter what, no matter who we're playing, no matter where it is. We always pressing, and it always works out for us. That's how we get easy baskets.
So listen, talk about the game on Friday night against New London. I know that game was about a month ago. It was probably one of the best games of the year in the league. I mean, have you guys thought about that game in the back of your mind a little bit?
Yeah, we've definitely been waiting because we knew we only played them once because they're not in our conference. And we knew we might get a crack at them if everything panned out. We played good and got to the ECC championship game like they did. And we've been waiting for it, to be honest. We can't wait.
Did Coach know that three-pointer was coming from the corner at the end of the game?
Nah, he probably didn't. I didn't know it was coming. I just let it go.
All right, good job tonight. Guys, that is Philip Thomas, Coach Dave Cornish. I think the game that everybody wants to see in this area is Ledyard and New London on Friday night, fellas. I'll see you at Waterford High School.
All right, Keith, good stuff from Philip Thomas and Dave Cornish. Well, we're going to talk about the game Friday night a little bit more, and we'll do that on the Ledyard High School postgame show when we come back. Ledyard, 89-74 punches their ticket to New London Friday night in the ECC final. You're watching Game Day on theday.com.
At Ledyard High School, we are athletes and fans. We are musicians. We are home to an agri-science and technology center. We offer opportunities to earn college credit. We have 3 student publications and nearly 4 dozen extracurricular clubs. We're inclusive. We're compassionate. We're committed to excellence. We are 12 towns, 4 grades, 1 identity.
We're back. You see Mike Bassetto, he of the poor halftime prediction, talking with
maybe next time.
Troy McKelvin, one of the all-time great New London High School athletes. Troy there is giving a hug to Leo Clinton Sr., the father of Leo Clinton, the basketball player there.
Can you name me the other
I
people
can.
on the camera there?
The cute kid walking in front of Troy was his son TJ. It's all a family. Hey, high school basketball is a family affair, and the New London Ledyard connection is well documented. Welcome to the Ledyard High School post-game show here at Fitch High School. We have done 2 games. Casey O'Neill along with Mike Guerrera. In game 1, we saw the New London High School Whalers, undefeated and #1 seed, advance to the 2015 ECC Championship game with a win over Wyndham. And then tonight, just right now, you saw Ledyard in a very impressive second half performance pull away from the very game Waterford High School Lancers, creating Sharknado 2, otherwise known as Ledyard New London Part 2, Friday night from Waterford High School, the championship game of the 2015 ECC tournament, and it will be live on theday.com.
Yeah, Casey, and I think we've kind of talked about it enough, and there's not much more to say. I mean, it's so fun because we've talked about these guys, and everyone, you read the day, you follow ECC basketball, so you know the names, you know Colin Sawyer, you know Seth Lake, you know Deontay Brute, and you know Philip Thomas. I mean, these guys know each other too. Don't think they're not following each other on Facebook and tweeting at each other and Instagramming and whatever else they're doing. So it's going to be fun, but there's going to be a tense atmosphere. You remember Brian Cespedes, I mean, got kicked out of the last game because he picked up a couple technicals. There was no fighting, but, you know, it's going to have that really tense, fun, competitive, but respectful atmosphere. And we're going to be in Waterford, so that's a big gym that's going to be packed, and it's going to be loud, and it's going to be fun. And it'll be interesting because both teams want to win state titles and believe they can win state titles, and that's going to be a real precursor to what happens for both these teams in the state tournament.
Yeah, you know, that's probably one of the more interesting aspects of this game is that both of these teams have aspirations of state titles, but we saw the New London NFA girls final, and really in that dynamic, New London really wanted to win the ECC tournament because they had never gotten over the hump against NFA, but they have a better chance of winning the state championship than they do of beating NFA. NFA, quite frankly, is playing for a state championship. I don't think they ever considered losing in the ECC tournament. Friday night, these two teams want to beat each other so much that I think it actually can interfere with both of their state tournament aspirations. If they, you know, Friday night is going to be an emotional, a physical, a very, very high energy game, and either one of these two teams has to be careful to not come out flat the next time around when they do enter the state tournament.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting point. And the good thing for both teams is Ledyard's in double L and New London's in L, so they won't have to face each other after Friday. They could kind of leave it on the court and then say, all right, we don't have to face those guys again, win or lose. But I think both these teams, they don't even care what class they're in, how many games they win. I mean, you heard Philip Thomas say, we've been waiting for this game since we lost to New London earlier this year. I mean, they know what's up, and I think this is going to be a really, really fun game where they're treating it like a state title, and both coaches will treat it like that. And it's interesting, the New London NFA girls dynamic, because New London is the team that's been there, and Ledyard is trying to get there now. Is this the game where Ledyard, if Ledyard wins, I think that can really go a long way towards them winning double L. I think if New London wins or loses, I still think their season is set up, their postseason is set up kind of the same, just because Coach Parker's been there and he's so used to kind of drawing things up like that. So it'll be interesting to see what team comes out and then what teams follow that Friday night game.
Well, I think if Ledyard wins the ECC tournament Friday night and makes a nice run in double L, they'll consider this to have been a successful season. They will have won their first ECC basketball championship. They will have beaten New London. And as long as they don't get a one and done in the tournament, as long as they make a run, I think they'll feel good about it. If New London wins Friday night, it doesn't do anything for them. If they don't make a deep run to the finals of the L tournament and possibly win it, this season's going to have some disappointment to it. Even if they win the ECC tournament, that won't be as big a deal for them. So I do think that both teams have a slightly different perspective going into Friday night, but either way, we're going to be there to cover it for you. We are very, very excited here on game day. We have had a great season, and Friday night will be the final broadcast of your game day season. We've had a great year. Casey O'Neill, along with Mike Guerrera, Keith O'Brien, Mike DeMoro, Peter Wappy, all of the cameramen and crew. Ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you appreciate what you're seeing, because there is nobody that you can find in anywhere around here for high school sports that puts on the product that Peter Wappy and his crew do for these game day broadcasts. It is an absolute privilege, and I know I speak for both Keith and Mike when I say it is an absolute privilege to be a part of something so special. You're going to look back years from now and you're going to say what a great opportunity you all had to be a part of these experiences, these broadcasts. I'm thrilled that we were able to do this. So we got one more to go, and it is the big one.
It's the granddaddy of them all.
It is Friday night, 7:15 tip-off from Waterford High School for a 7:30 basketball tip-off. Number 1, New London. Number 2, Ledyard. We're there. So join us Friday night. For Mike Guerrera, Keith O'Brien, all of the crew, thanks for joining us tonight on Game Day.